Hi guys, it's Chanessa here. If you're new, welcome to my channel, and if you are a current subscriber, I told you guys I would be changing up and doing different things, so thank you for returning and sharing all the love. Now today's video I'm going to talk to you guys about how to pass your property and casualty license exam for the first time. Now, I'm in a lot of groups and I do happen to help people with either mentorship or, putting them in the right place, giving them tips and tricks, because I feel like sometimes those things are people lose their humility. You know what I mean? It's like, you did it, so show me what you did, or give me some tips on how to do it. And sometimes you get those people that you do give the tips on, you give them everything, and they still drop the ball. They still don't do it right. So guys, the first thing I did was read and study from whatever course material that you get. I purchased the Kaplan Financial Education for my state, and I got the basic package. I believe it was like $140. So here is the book. The book was pretty big. I printed out the entire PDFs form that the website had. Again, you paid $140 for it, right? You might as well keep the book. So I printed it, and then I went to Staples and had it bind it. You had 90 days to complete it. So from start to finish, 90 days. There was testing inside of it on each chapter. There was about 24 chapters. I'm in New York, so New York can be a different world as opposed to other places, but it was 24 chapters in there, and each chapter had between each section had a section to test after you read the section, and then you would take a chapter test. And then once you get through the material, you just constantly read and take the test over and over and over and over and over again until it clicks. Now that's why it was important to have the full 90 days, because I realized that going through that fast would have been like crazy for me. It's like, how do you retain it all? Because there was so much to learn, from homeowners insurance to personal, PAPs, the BOPs, business owner policies, then the commercial policies, then the trucking, then the workers' comp. So there was so much to learn. I did not want to rush and cram all that stuff. I just didn't want to do it. I know people that might have taken a course and passed it, good for them. But for me to wrap my brain around it and understand it, it was very different from when I took the life insurance exam. So I personally I had to read the whole thing. I read it from cover to cover. So after I did that, I spent time on the Kaplan website looking over the questions. So I was testing myself every single day, taking maybe a couple hours out of my day to study. And then, of course, once the exam time was coming into place, it got a little bit more advanced. What I did was, because I also my boyfriend was also studying with me as well, so we had two books, but because I'm such a person that likes to write, I took from each unit the cram sheets that was at the end of each chapter, and I pretty much just wrote down my own notes. Because I'm a visual learner, it helps for me to read it and then write down important pieces that I want to keep for my own brain and mental, or little things that stood out, or acronyms. So I did that for the entire thing, highlighted it, and then I had this stapled, and then I used this as my study guide. So again, like I said, there was about 24 chapters, and then a lot of them were small, some of them were really extensive. After I went and watch the videos on YouTube from Myers, I pretty much made a cheat sheet. Basically, when you watch YouTube videos, they're going to say this is what you can expect to be on the exam. So I made my own cheat sheet to pretty much help me create tips. And with doing so, once I made the cheat sheet, when you go to the state, the place to take the exam, you're usually given some blank pieces of paper and pencil. I memorized this, and this helped me memorize everything else that I was going to be tested on, because this was the important factor. Now, what's listed on here, you start off with the core of the entire assignment, which is basic, broad, and special. So, you know, I have cursive handwriting, guys. So I pretty much wrote the acronyms for those, what basic meant, underneath it, highlighting, fire, lighting, internal explosion, and then the basic and broad. I had these concepts written down as to what I wanted to like remember. And then extended coverages. The book did a wonderful job with breaking down acronyms, so I pretty much just kept the book's acronyms and remember those acronyms in my head. Like dwelling and homeowners insurance, I made little boxes. So with dwelling, it'll say DP and then P and then basic, and I'm pretty much talking about the classifications that they're going to ask you on your exam, because you see these on the test all the time, and how to navigate them. So I did one for dwelling, I did one for DP1, DP2, which is DP1 is basic, DP2 is broad, and DP3 is special. And then I did a box for the homeowners insurance, HO8 all the way down to 6, and then kind of base it on which coverage was coverage A, coverage C, and use those type of forms that way. So I will kind of put this there so you guys can see that. That's what I did, and then I wrote out formulas, so like pro rata and the ACV, replacement cost minus depreciation, and then a coin insurance formula, because I think you at least get one question on that. And then I wrote down little tips, things that might have changed that might not be, you know, similar anymore. And then I went and did like little things that I would struggle with. So this cheat sheet is more like what you need to know. And then the other side or other pages should be like little memory blocks that you want to keep in your head. So for me, personal auto policy, like remembering the numbers, the death coverages, and all that stuff was something I wanted to keep in my head. The stated value versus what you actually paid, what you paid for versus what you actually paid for. Exclusions were pretty difficult, like trying to remember all of them. Personal auto, the part A through part D, which was considered what. And then there was just a whole different segment of that. So I highly request making you a memory cheat sheet to have, so that way you can literally walk into that exam room before you even start your exam and write down your list of what you remembered in your head. So here is my other blank sheet with like the formulas on there. And then, you know, just some regular like vocabulary words and stuff like that. It all depends on your attention span and how you learn. For me, this worked for me and I was able to pass the first time. Another thing I went and did, so outside of the Kaplan exam with the testing, that was definitely more than enough for learning or like knowing what you needed to learn. But just like any other program that you might take with learning material from the book and then being tested on the book, I wanted to test myself outside of the book. So I went on psiexamonline.com, which I will leave a link below so that way you guys can go check it out for yourself if you're watching this and you're looking to kind of quiz yourself outside of your source. And I would do the practice test there. Now for New York State, it was only 75 questions that they gave you, and then you were pretty much scored right there on the spot. So why I did this was because I wanted to test myself to know what other kind of questions I should be thinking of outside of what was just in that book, because you have to be well-rounded. You can't expect to just go and quiz yourself on all the Kaplan material or whatever course that you take and not know anything else. So even though there was 150, I believe, questions on the exam, and the PSI exam, I took it so many times that I think that they were pretty much repetitive, but they helped me get through that test as well as what I did with the Kaplan material, because now I could see a way that the question might actually be asked and I would know what to look for as opposed to just kind of winging it. So yeah, guys, those are my tips. You study, you relax, you know, kind of take some mental here, kind of close out all those distractions. You know, if you got children, making sure they're to bed, going into your quiet study space, and make sure that you zoom in and actually learn what it is that you're getting ready to do. There's a reason why you're getting the license, right? If you're just getting it just to get it, then it's kind of going to be like one of those things you're probably not going to take seriously. So those are my tips. Study, read, drink your water. After you study, go through the practice test exams, and then to quiz yourself over and over. Watch Lauren Meyer's videos specifically on commercial property, and you know, the whole basic layout is what he has, or whomever you might feel comfortable with, or could just Google and search. Watch their videos as to how to pass the exam. And then a last tip was to go to PSI exam or any place that allows you to take free testing for examples on the test, so that way you see different angles of it. Once you do that, you will be good to go. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.